3, 2, 1, go!
Three, 2, 1.
I think you just mean 3.
You mean 3, yeah.
Just 3.
All 3.
I was kicked.
3.
Hello everyone and welcome to our newest update video. My name is Jake, the voice Parr, and I am the lead writer for TimeSplitters Rewind. Well, I hope everyone's been staying safe during these times. It's been challenging for everyone on the team and involvement has surely changed. But we hope our little surprise at the beginning have showed that we aren't slowed down and, well, that's not all we have to show. At this point, we are the furthest along that Rewind has ever been and successfully have up to 10 players playing simultaneously along 10 bots in many of our game modes. The game is looking and feeling really close, so we're really excited to be able to showcase our efforts. But believe it or not, that's not all we have to show you for this video. Many surprises are in store, and our now 57-person team is really happy with the progress we've made. So as you may have noticed, the menus for Rewind are largely in place. We've got a full suite of menus that allow the game to work from beginning to end. William Mackey, one of our 2D artists, has been hard at work making the menus feel consistent and easily navigable. Starting right up at the main menu, you'll see that we've got a scrolling news bar. Here, we'll be able to put our updates highlighting our new content that we ship in the subsequent updates. Hopefully this will keep any casual players up to date with anything we are working on. Harkening back to Future Perfect, you'll also notice many shared design features, such as the background or some of the panels. This continues to be seen throughout our menus, but we'll start at our options menu. Digging through, we've added options for rebinding controls with support for controller and keyboard and mouse, video options with support for RTX card-enabled ray tracing, and additional support for lowering graphics to ensure our game is as accessible as possible. Using ray tracing has given us an extra level of fidelity with some of our scenes, but it is currently a work in progress and we may not ship with this. We'll keep the community posted. Another quick note is that while we do have controller support, this is currently considered partial as we continue to add support for other devices in our menus. Continuing on, you can see that we have options to enable gore and player hands in the game as well, which will help to tune with the game to be a bit more in line with some nostalgia you may have. Going back to the main menu, you'll see a couple of great returns. As we've announced long ago, challenge mode will be playable in-game, including all of the challenges in TimeSplitters 1. In addition, Arcade League has also made a triumphant return in a rather interesting way. Attempting to combine all three games has not been entirely simple. I bring this up because there are some challenge modes that are arguably exactly the same rule sets as Arcade League. A custom bot and weapon set with goals to complete in a specific time frame under a direct arcade mode. So we've split out some challenges into arcade leagues. An example that you may know is Flock Around the Dock. Now you'll be able to play Flock Around the Dock as part of the arcade leagues in our own tiers that we are creating custom for Rewind instead of what was originally known as Challenge 2A in the first game. If anyone has any further questions about this, feel free to join our Discord and ask these questions in the Developer Questions channel. Outside of our reconfiguring of content, we now have 16 challenges and 18 arcade leagues. So that makes a total of 34. You might be thinking, wait, but aren't there only 27 challenges in TimeSplitters 1? How could that be possible? Well, take a look.
Perfect. Perfect.
For those who may not have played TimeSplitters 1, they may be shocked to find there is no Banana Chomp and no Behead the Undead on Compound. So for Rewind, we've not only created all new content, we've also begun integrating ready content from future entries where possible. Our destruction game now extends beyond Barrel Blast, offering 3 unique challenges, one called Drumline, another called Barrel Roll, taking place on 2 maps that originally featured little to no challenge modes. Banana Chomp works similarly to Aztec, having 3 different variations taking place on Village. But Glass Smash is exactly as you may remember. Our last challenge mode that is not currently completed is called Heist. This is based on Challenge 6C from TimeSplitters 1, in which players attempt to stop a team of enemies from robbing a bank. We have adopted this formula into its own mode, and you can expect to see this game mode on docks and spaceship under the names Shipyard Takedown and Space Borders. We're excited to have the future opportunity to showcase this, so please stay tuned. Refocusing on the main menu, we'll next look at Arcade League. You'll notice this choice is now here when opening up the general arcade menu, and just like you may remember, we've got the 3 tiers: Amateur, Honorary, and Elite. The decisions made for splitting these came by their descriptions in the TimeSplitters 1 challenges. So anything that is a number -A will go into Amateur, anything B is Honorary, and C is Elite. For balancing purposes, this may change in the future, but for now we felt this represented the essence of the series the best. Within these series, we'll be splitting up the content even more into sub-tiers, just like TimeSplitters 2 and Future Perfect. Our placeholder names include things like Noob Series, Maimed Series, and Broken Series. For now, let's go into the Noob Series and start up Flock Around the Dock. As we showed earlier, you'll see a mostly finished version of docks with all of the duck fighting glory you've hoped for. Setting up systems for our game has allowed us to generate arcade leagues in the realm of minutes. However, what it doesn't do is auto-generate characters for us. Simply put, while our progress here may look immense, there are still many areas we are lacking, but more on that later. For now, you may notice that we are not playing as Mr. Big, and this is because, well, he hasn't been finished. Another thing that you'll probably notice is that getting to 100 in this time frame seems really tough. This has been a big sign for us that there is still some work left on balancing the game and really nailing the feeling of the original trilogy. So another classic challenge that you may remember is the universally loved and hated Space Vandals. So we've got this working, but it's a little different than you may remember for now. Specifically, this game mode is using the Last Stand survival gameplay that we introduced in our January update. Internally, there have been discussions on whether or not we intend to change this. It certainly works much better for multiplayer, but it definitely changes the gameplay a bit in our Arcade League modes. While this is working, there's still a lot of work we have to do, and some discussions to be had, so look forward to seeing this one in depth another time. Last point of notice on Arcade League is that while the game modes are working, we are currently missing the performance ranking that is completed at the end of the mode. Expect more on this later as we move these modes further along. Unfortunately, Escort is still a work in progress, so any game modes such as Bodyguard that expect Escort are currently not implemented. With all of this in mind, there are going to be some changes that we may investigate as development continues. Many have asked if we plan to scale the difficulty of any of the challenges or Arcade League game modes. And truly, this is not a simple answer or one that we are quite in the stages to address. We certainly plan on making this game accessible while still achieving the excitement of the original. Space Vandals, for example, no matter the format, will remain unforgiving. This game is for the fans, like ourselves, so we want to capture the feeling of the original games as best as we can. So moving on to Arcade Custom, you'll notice some nice changes to this area. Specifically, we've added the options to distinguish whether you want to play online or offline. While this is working great for us, there are still a few bugs, as you can imagine, so as we continue to iron out the kinks, expect that you'll have the option to play the game how you want. Quickly, we'll hop into the Join Game list where you can see we've added support for a server browser. In this list, we inform what types of servers exist and are currently working on adding passwords, so that joining a friend's or a random player's game is as easy as possible. For now, we'll simply host an offline game to showcase what we have. Now, you may have seen this a bit earlier during our gameplay showcase, but you'll see that we have a working bot select, weapon select, map select, game mode select, and even a character select. For each, we give you a lot of the same customization that you'd hope for from a TimeSplitters game. We've added some of our own options along with as many options from the originals as we could. An ongoing issue we are facing is attempting to fill the gaps for content we are missing. For example, the bricks weapon set is clearly very simple, but we don't have all 5 weapons we need for the plasma weapon set, so you'll notice we'll just have to use the brick and shotgun in there for now. This will be updated as we get more content, but that has been quite hard for us regardless of our team size. More on that later. Looking at the bot select, you'll see a very similar set of issues, including a currently non-functioning bot difficulty as we attempt to navigate how to balance that. However, in both circumstances, the custom sets are working as intended with some minor caveats, mostly being that we are still working on functionality to save these sets to persist when relaunching the game. Taking a look at the game mode select, you'll see we have unique icons created for game modes like Last Stand and Escort, which originally lacked these icons. In an effort to make the three games feel really cohesive, a lot of energy has gone into modernizing TimeSplitters 1 content. Looking at the map select, you'll also see a mix of placeholder images being used for the maps we currently have in-game, which will also showcase something else. In January, we had only 9 out of 18 of the maps from TimeSplitters 1 blocked out by level designers. Now, as of June of this year, we have all 18 levels blocked out. Not only that, but they are all in-game and playable. That's right, every map in the game is playable, albeit some present better than others. However, this brings up a point that we've discussed internally, which hasn't been an easy decision for us, but we hope to ship with all 18 levels. Not in the capacity we originally hoped, however. Instead, we will be shipping many of these levels in blockout format. While this may come across as odd, the idea is to offer the largest range of content possible, keeping in mind that the art can always come later. We want the community to have the most complete experience possible, and we simply cannot achieve that with only a quarter of the levels in. So at launch you can expect somewhere in the realm of 6 to 7 levels complete with finalized art, about 11 or 12 levels in blockout format. This means in the grey box format that you've seen for a few levels so far. Again, any questions about this, feel free to ask us in our Discord linked below. For our last point on the arcade menu, you'll notice there is ready up functionality supported for online play, so you will also have the option to kick players and set up a unique, fully custom lobby. This is still in progress, but as you can tell, it has come a really long way from where it was only back in March. We've also attempted to modernize things in some areas. For example, here we've combined the map select and game mode select into menus in the lobby. As opposed to the originals, you needed to go to fully different layers of selection if you wanted to make changes. We feel navigation is a bit more simplified here, but we also get to achieve the look and feel of Future Perfect mostly. The last thing in the arcade menu that you'll be excited to see is the character select.
Choice of the matter.
You picked the right guy for the job.
I am full of determination and vodka. Let's do it!
These animations are handcrafted by our animators, and we've been hard at work on these. However, as we brought up a few times, we're really lacking in this area. Currently, we only have a few finished character selects. Most of the characters are currently using the cultist placeholder animation, as you can see. Oh, fine. It's not like I've got much choice. 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 It's not like I've. So before we move away from arcade, we have a couple of other things to discuss which involve some rather large changes to a few maps that you may remember from TimeSplitters 1. This includes the following: Warzone, Graveyard, Bank, and Spaceship. Bank is roughly the same map you remember, however, for balancing purposes, we have added additional entrances into the vault. In the past, players could easily camp in these areas and flow was often halted in these situations. In order to balance for potential 20-player gameplay, this needed to be changed. Warzone has some changes to the specificity of each area, and while retaining the core intent of the map, looks quite different overall. We have reduced the frequency of the small, tight areas, as well as the dead ends, which, again, reduce the fast-paced flow of some of the other maps. Graveyard has received a full retouch, focused on manipulating the existing layout of Graveyard. As you can see, the original and new versions share the same shape. However, the inner workings have been changed along with the catacombs, which often left situations feeling rather claustrophobic or unfit for larger amounts of players. These maps will require lots of balancing tests, and we cannot guarantee that these maps will look exactly the same way in the future. Lastly, we have Spaceship, which was notoriously discussed as being the most different of all of the maps. In the original, this was a rather labyrinth-like maze of a map. The team felt the map did not communicate a lot of the flow decisions that fit with the rest of the game and trilogy, so Spaceship has been completely redone by our level designers, a full redo. This may seem initially concerning, but when comparing the two, we think the community will be happy with our changes. Like with the others though, this map still requires playtesting. In order to capture the feeling of the original, the art will take a similar direction and the size of the map has been replicated here. We do not take these redesigns lightly and want to be sure we do it just right. Any questions, again, please feel free to ask in our Discord, linked below. So with Arcade covered, let's hop back and look at Story Mode. As discussed earlier, we've been expanding options for how to experience Rewind. So just like with Arcade, you can also play Story Mode offline. But wait, you're probably thinking, wasn't it always offline? Well, you guessed it, we've got full support for Story Mode online co-op. Join a friend and play on all of the TimeSplitters 1 story, sprinting for your life just as you remember it, almost 20 years ago. And with these changes, we've also added a change to the hub. In TimeSplitters 1, you simply navigated a list of written levels. In Rewind, we've borrowed the concept from TimeSplitters 2 to bring you our new and improved story hub. Both characters that you play as in-game are seen on the pedestal here, and the map updates in the portal depending on what you've currently highlighted. We feel this is a welcome change in, again, keeping the game feeling unified and holistic. As said before, the characters we're using here are certainly temporary as we continue to develop more characters. Another thing that you'll notice is that on the UI panels, we have easy, normal, and hard labeled. Here, we'll display your time records for each map and difficulty. In keeping up with the nature of TimeSplitters 1, it's crucial we display this accurately. We're hard at work ensuring this works as intended online, but offline this is working as you'd expect, so happy to say speedrunning can be a thing. But without further ado, let's dig into the one you may remember the most on Story Co-op. Well, it wouldn't be Mansion if we survived, so I think we'll just leave it there. So before we start to wrap this video up, let's also take a look at Chinese and Docs, which you'll notice are much further along. Chinese has all of the AI placed as you remember, but there's currently some issues with how they get triggered, so that's still a work in progress. But it's still really great for the team seeing all of our work come together after so long. After 7 long years of the project being tossed around, stopped, started, restarted, etc., this is the first true look at what Rewind will shape up to be outside of Arcade. I'll let the gameplay speak for itself for both of these.
He just shot you in the head.
Now, while we've only showcased a couple of maps, as goes with Arcade, all 9 story maps from the original are in and playable. Showcasing each, though, may be for a future update as we continue to refine their art. Some last points before we do a full showcase of what the rest of the team has been up to is that we are still incredibly behind in some areas. As you saw, we are heavily lacking characters, maps, and even some content. That being said, if you or anyone you know of is interested in any of these roles, please share your work with us in the portfolio channel of the TimeSplitters Rewind Discord linked below. The roles are as follows: character artist, environment artist, character animator, weapon animator, technical designer, and lastly a content designer, which is something who would potentially look at adding additional content, such as internally proposed arcade leagues, challenges, and more using in-game data-driven systems. We cannot stress enough how much help we need in character art and animation. We have roughly 4 out of 40 character selects and still have an entire roster of weapons without animations. In a bit, we'll be showcasing some of the work from our weapon team, and we're happy to say that all weapons from TimeSplitters has been completed. But without an animation set, it is essentially useless to us, unfortunately, so please reach out if you have experience. Lastly, soon enough, we will be working towards getting community playtesters. This will be determined based on factors in the Discord, among other factors. So to anyone in the community Discord, please keep an eye out. So with all of that out of the way, enjoy this compilation of work from our team and this new track from our composer Jose Pavli. As always, thank you very much for watching this update video, and it's only fair that we round off things like usual. It's time to split!